Oh, hi, good morning. This is Suburban Prepper, and calling my show this morning, Good Morning Prepper. Jump right into it. Update on the videos I want to make. I'm working on a video. It's about prepping. It's about children, and it's about antibiotic doses for children and what they're indicated for. A lot of preppers can get antibiotics from foreign countries without an RX for it. Okay, but they fail to prep for the dosing for their children. So I want to fill that gap. I want to provide some of that knowledge. I'm not signing my license away on it. I'm just filling in some information. Hopefully they'll never need it. And in doing so, I also want to incorporate some disaster scenarios that you might encounter with your children that would happen during SHTF and how you would manage that. There's a bonus at the end of the video, of course, folks. That's a lot of good knowledge to me, applied knowledge. Okay. Again, I don't want to make a video about how to tie knots. There's 1,000 of those videos made. And really, I honestly use about 3 or 4 knots. That's all I ever need. So I'm pretty excited about that. I woke up early this morning to work on the wording and the selection of the different antimicrobials that I think are important. And it's not just antibiotics, folks. And medications for pinworm, antifungals, and so on. They're not just antibiotics. I guess the better word would be it's an antimicrobial discovery for pediatrics. Well, the difference between the grown-up medication, most of the time anyway, is it's the dosing, and it's also children do better with liquid concentrations. And the great thing about the liquid concentrations is that they come in a powdered form, and you add water to it when you're ready to use it, so that concentration lasts longer. Obviously, once you put the water in the antibiotic, it lasts a week, and you've got to keep it refrigerated most of the time. So my niche is prepping, okay? But there's some different subcategories in prepping, because I see all the time people posting pictures on social media about how they acquired these antibiotics. And I zoom in and I try to see what the antibiotics are. And then I don't say anything because I'm not paying them to consult. They're not paying me to do a consult on what they should take. I see nothing for children. What do you think, folks? There's a niche there, okay? I know my limitations. I don't do dog videos or cat videos on how to treat them. I'm sure there is a veterinarian prepper out there that does that. Or maybe there's someone watching this video would motivate someone to become a veterinarian prepper. But let me digress. I think if you're a veterinarian, you're somewhat of a prepper already. Because really, if shit hit the fan, a veterinarian could still treat a human because a human's a mammal. And if veterinarians start study mammalian disease, you have a basis for it. Okay. Well, day. So I've been up. I got up at 4. The other great news is that it's raining outside, folks. Okay, it's raining good. My my little baby plants are getting a good saturation of God's tears onto the earth. You got to watch out because you got to remember if it's a divided highway and there's like a piece on the road, you don't have to stop. But if it's just some painted lines and it's a 4-lane highway, you got to stop in the other lanes. Otherwise, even though I don't see how someone will be crossing a 4-lane road to get somewhere, the children and school buses. You got to keep aware of that, folks. In my subdivision, where I live in the suburbs, I often I've seen folks just ignore the school bus. And I swear to the Virgin Mary that I would pulverize, if I could get that person, or there's a school bus, I would pulverize that person. Mercy. With no mercy. Anyway, you got to protect the children, folks. But I'm excited because it started raining, I think, about 2 o'clock this morning. It's a good drizzle. It's obviously 7 o'clock Central Time right now, and it's still sprinkling. And my plants, I wanted to water them yesterday, but I saw the forecast for rain. I was like, well, why not just let nature take over and water the plants? I would not do this, but I have thought about doing it. Let me premise by saying that. Just not watering my plants at all. Okay? And just let the rain get to them. I don't think that'd be a real smart thing to do. If anything, I overwater my plants a little bit because when I come home from work, it's a nice stress reliever. Okay? And I can inspect each plant and I pull the little weeds out and whatnot. And I compost the weeds, folks. I throw them in the compost bin. There's another school bus going by. I don't know why folks are always in such a rush when it's raining to get where they're going. I'm already going over the speed limit. But anyway, so that I woke up this morning motivated by that idea. And two, I went to bed around 9 and I got up at 4. And I couldn't go back to sleep. And now I'm feeling a little tired, but not sleepy. You know what the sad thing is, folks? There's not going to be another gun show till June next month. June's coming up, but it's like it's been 4 months since we've had a gun show in the county that I live in. And sometimes I take my daughter there. She goes there because there's a spot that they sell some special candy, and it makes her happy, and that exposes her to that culture. And honestly, respectfully, everyone that goes to the gun show is very respectful of children. I see other parents bringing their children to the gun show. Some people that are sellers there, they bring their dogs. The dogs are real nice. You can pet the dogs. We even met Santa Claus December of last year at the gun show. So, it's a family oriented activity. Except at the gun show, the prices are a lot higher than normal. But it's cool because you can see people from across the state in Indiana that make their own ammo, do their own uppers. I mean, you're supporting local builders, okay? I mean, and the truth of the matter is, folks, you still have to follow the same national laws. There's no gun show clause or something that I see. If you're going to get a sidearm or a pistol or a rifle from someone from a gun show, you still got to do that same background check that you're supposed to do. And I've seen where some gun show owner, people that sell stuff, they'll deny or decline someone in a heartbeat if they are suspicious about their activity. Like, I heard someone once talking with somebody over the phone about what they wanted. And of course, the gun show guy that was selling his products overheard that and said, I can't help you. Okay, I'm trying to get in the other lane. And this one over here, I'll try to get in, and I'll just cut them off. Let me in, Peter Bailey. There you go. And you see, he's going to go into the right lane anyway, and I'm going to hit my brakes. Because I'm going to be turning left up here. Anyway, gun show. I still want to get a flamethrower that I can attach to the bottom of my AR-15 rifle, or a freestanding one so I can melt snow in my yard. Not my yard, the driveway. I'm still holding high hopes out for that one. If someone in your family sends you a video link about it around Christmas time, or like 2 months before Christmas, and they're thinking, oh, this would be a good gift for someone, like for Father's Day, but I digress. I have one viewer. I use a streaming app so I can be on multiple channels at once, and I don't know how the streaming app tells me how many people are tuning in from each platform, because I don't really advertise it on Facebook. I don't talk about it on Rumble or YouTube or X. I just post on there, and then maybe sometimes someone will pick up the I don't know I don't really promote my morning drive live feeds. So if you're watching this video, post it on your social link to say, come listen to this guy around 7 o'clock every morning, or go check out his YouTube page and help me spread the word. That would be really nice. Well, a lot of my prepping stuff that I do, okay, because the goal of my prepping is to help make people better. That's the goal of my prepping channel, is to make people better. Same thing that I do in healthcare. I want to make your life better, but the way I know how, okay? If you have a mental health problem and you need to talk with somebody, I'm not the person that you want to talk to, because I don't do the mental health stuff. On the other hand, the more the physical aspects of your health, I'm your guy, folks. Speaking of which, now understand I don't get specific with it with patients, okay, other than the issue. But I had a new patient come in yesterday, new to me. He's transferring from another place. And he had IBSM, which is irritable bowel syndrome mixed. That means it's a combination of mixed diarrhea and constipation, and allergies, environmental allergies. And so all the dendrites and axons in my brain started, flaring up. I'm like, I could really help this guy. I could really help this fella. I understand what pills he's taking from the allopathic health component, and I don't have anything wrong with those pills, although they do have side effects. But I know, because this is something I talk about, how the brain-gut axis would help with this guy's IBS mixed, IBSM, okay? From now on, we're just going to say IBS. And then his allergies. So I'm going to do a telephone visit with him. I've already saw him in person and did a physical examination. I know what he's taking. And I know what I want to do or recommend for this patient. But I was so excited because he's not getting any relief from the stuff that he's taking. Because one, his gut is being undertreated. Okay? Yeah, I could send him to a GI specialist, but they're not going to recommend these naturopathics that I will. And I already know what the GI specialist is going to prescribe for IBS. Now, I got to be real careful when I recommend naturopathics. So I tailor it to each individual. What my gut instinct tells me would be beneficial for this patient. That includes patient preferences, something they absolutely won't put in their mouth. Like if someone can't stand onions, well, don't tell them to take onions. Onions, by the way, folks, are considered a good prebiotic. Okay? So at the same time, I wanted to present this information to the patient. Well, I'm going to do that on the phone in a professional manner. But at the same time, while I was working on my presentation for the patient, okay, figured why not make a video, a YouTube video about how to manage allergies, because the deep lying issue with allergies, and I told him comes from my naturopathic studying. I went to George Washington University online for 2 years doing a fellowship. Okay, I didn't move to Washington, D.C. Doesn't matter. Moving there wouldn't have made a difference. It's the books that I had to, and the hours and hours and hours of studying that I had to do, and testing, and the clinical time I had to do. That made me a better. Not only did we review the allopathic treatments, and we learned the alternative therapeutics as well. So we call it integrative medicine, meaning you take the pills that the doctor, the nurse practitioner, or the PA, or the clinical nurse psychiatrist, or whatever, prescribes to take those pills in conjunction with some natural remedies. So you may not need those pills as much. Now, I know what my limitations are, folks. But anyway, I'm excited, and I did a video about this before, but I did a video about the brain-gut axis. But it's important, I think, to do it about how it affects other organs or symptoms collectively and how they incorporate. So I'm pretty excited to do these 3 videos. Well, maybe 4. The first video that I talked about this morning is the more common antimicrobials for pediatrics. And I want to apply that, go up a notch. You talk about disease processes or infections or complications that could occur during SHTF in children. Okay? And it would build up upon going over the medications that I talked about. Likewise, I want to do the video about gut-brain axis and IBS first, okay? And then I would do another video about allergy, naturopathics for allergies, and how the brain-gut axis is really, it's not so much your respiratory, it's your gut. That's the exposure, and that's where your body reacts. And yeah, I want to make a video about how to assemble and disassemble my AR-15. I'm learning to, when I make videos and I'm cleaning my weapon, you can't see what the hell I'm doing because I got to learn to put the camera like right here and just have my hands like I'm on a operating room and have the rifle right there, the pieces, and disassemble them. How to assemble and disassemble an AR-15. That's going to be geared towards new AR-15 shooters. And if you're a pro at shooting an AR-15 and you've never disassembled your bolt carrier group, then you're in a lot of trouble, mister. I've decided that my new 300 Win Mag bolt carrier group needs to go back to the company because, one, it was missing a firing pin retaining pin, and 2, I cannot get the firing pin to pull out for the life of me. I've opened the bolt up, okay, to see if there's something occluded in the end of the bolt, which is a good sized bolt, and I couldn't see anything that was blocking it. But for the life of me, and I'm putting some good force down, they're going to have to take that bolt carrier group back and send me a new one from Bear Creek Arsenal. I don't want to be one of those guys that has to. I understand it's a private company. Sometimes, something happens. They probably test fired it with that the way it was, and it worked. But I'm not going to accept something deficient. The actual barrel upper itself, it's very beautifully well made. Okay, I just have to get that bolt carrier group fixed. And after that, I can give you a good, complete review of the firing system. So I have the lower for this 300 Win Mag going to my gun, the gun, one of the places my local gun store, okay? Because you have to send the lower. That's the controlled part that you need to do the background check for. It's going to go there. Once they get it, I'll do the thing, sign the thing, and we'll be in business. But I talked to them yesterday. I thought maybe I just need to put a little more pressure on that firing pin, and I shouldn't put that much pressure on a firing pin to remove it. And I'm wondering if, I'm not, because this is a big bolt, I'm wondering if somehow that firing pin is somewhere stuck between the bolt, inside the bolt carrier group, and where the firing pin is. or that firing pin, retaining pin, I should say. I don't have the mechanical means to take out that firing pin, and I shouldn't have to. The other thing that I wish Bear Creek Arsenal would do is their bolt carrier group from them, because that's uniquely made for the 300 Win Mag. It's not just an AR-10. From what I see, it's not just an AR-10 that would fit in there, bolt carrier group. Well, I'm going to compare my AR-10 because the diameter of a 300 Win Mag, the casing diameter is the same as a 308. It's just that the 300 Win Mag is a lot longer. But I seriously doubt an AR-10 would fit because, again, the casing for the AR 300 Win Mag is a lot longer. So that bolt carrier group is going to be a lot longer than an AR-10. I do have a spare AR-10 upper still in its package that I keep as a backup. But we'll see, folks. We will see. So when I was buying this from Bear Creek Arsenal, I inadvertently bought an AR-10 upper, or lower, I should say, that's at the gun store ready to be picked up. But I want to do the background check for both of them at once. So you don't want to flag the ATF that you're doing this, even though I think it's unconstitutional. Okay, think about it, folks. When you go out to vote, okay, do you have to do a background check, pay $200? No, you don't have to pay $200. Do you have to go and do a background check to see if you're eligible to vote? And you have to wait for the feds to say, yeah, he's eligible to vote? No, you don't. What's worse is when you want to get a suppressor, you have to do a background check. You have to pay $200. Then you have to wait about 9 months to get that suppressor. Would you vote if you had to pay $200? Wait 9 months, wait for the voting agency to say, yeah, you can vote? Do you see how they like to step on our Second Amendment rights, folks? So when they start doing that, that's when they start attacking your First Amendment rights. I probably lost some of you with the constitutional stuff. Oh well. So I saw Thunderbolts this past weekend. The movie, the Marvel movie, or how they changed it to the New Avengers. We all knew that was going to happen. Anyway, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I think it was better than most Avengers movies because it dealt with personal issues mostly. And they had a bad guy, problems and stuff. The bad lady. And it was funny and quirky. And it was superhero-ish. And they sort of laugh at themselves and they cry at themselves. It was a good movie, folks. Some people like to bash all the Marvel movies and stuff and call it spaghetti. But I was thoroughly enjoyed. The SIG others said, they're not like the original team. But no, they're not, Captain America, Iron Man, all them. When they first came out with that in the MCU, that was mind-blowing, how the way they portrayed it. How he portrayed Tony Stark, the actor. Because I remember seeing him back in the 80s act and stuff when he was a teenager. and then he had his problems in the late 80s and 90s with drugs and stuff, how he turned himself around and got back into acting and then he got into this Marvel thing, acting as Captain America, not Captain America, acting as Tony Stark. And the character Tony Stark, he's a workaholic with a drinking problem, and it reflected so much on the actor, how his problems in real life were synonymous with the character's problems in real life with the alcohol. And it just was a great fit. Robert Downey Jr., folks, is what I'm thinking. Robert Downey Jr. Okay. Like, do you remember Robert Downey Jr. acted in Weird Science? Okay. Now, remember Weird Science, a movie that came out in the 80s? He acted one of the preppy guys. And then there was the main character, guy from 16 Candles, or what's his name? I can't remember his name. Okay, can't remember his name. He acted in 16 Candles, I think. He acted in Breakfast Club. He was the nerd, but he acted in the nerd in this movie, in the movie that I just mentioned. And then he went on to be a major character or a minor character in Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay. When they were out in space, the sixth or seventh season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when they were out in space trying to find the guy with the spaceship airplane, it was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., folks. That was a great show. So let me go back to Weird Science. And then that guy, the nerd's bigger brother, was he passed away recently. Okay, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. He acted in some cool movies. He acted in the one movie with aliens, and he acted on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too, as one of Coulson's. He trained Coulson up a little bit, and he was trained by Fury, and he turns out to be a secret Hydra agent. And then, like, it was season 1 when the Winter Soldier came out, and Hydra came out of hiding, and this showed, because they knew when that was going to happen, and they made the show. And of course, the start of the show on S.H.I.E.L.D. starts with that song "Don't Fear the Reaper" by Blue Oyster Cult, and that to me was one of the greatest moments of S.H.I.E.L.D., because the guy's just sitting around in his S.H.I.E.L.D. airplane drinking some coffee, thinking nothing's happening, and then some S.H.I.E.L.D. missiles and drones are going to blow up the plane because they knew that he was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. That was a Hydra agent. And then it turns out he was, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he was on Weird Science, and so was Robert Downey Jr. So all three of those folks, part of the MCU, Marvel Cinematic. Now, I consider Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be part of the MCU, folks. I know a lot of you don't. A lot of you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. They just went off into their own thing, the time travel thing, and they went to a robot thing and computer program thing. So definitely its own niche. Has nothing to do with prepping, but I'm just jabbering on. But yeah, Robert Downey Jr., because I saw that movie this weekend. And I'm excited, okay, because Fantastic Four is coming out next in July. And now understand that this Fantastic Four takes place it doesn't take place in the same universe as the MCU, but it takes place in a different universe back in the 60s. And the plot is going to unfold. And then It's going to be cool. So the main character, well, from the Fantastic Four is Pedro Pascal, okay? He plays the Mandalorian in The Mandalorian, the Star Wars flick. I didn't know that he did other acting and stuff. He played in Wonder Woman, the movie Wonder Woman 84. And he was in Game of Thrones, but honestly, I will probably watch one episode of Game of Thrones in my life. Just don't get into the fantasy, blah, 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 blah. Never understood the plot of it. What planet does it even take place on? Anyway, he's going to play Reed Richards in Fantastic Four. Now, Reed Richards is the smartest man alive, okay? And he's the guy that can, stretch out. He's a stretch man, real good. But he lacks social skills, okay? I mean, historically, that's what Reed Richards did. He's always just lacked social skills. He was a muscular nerd, but lacked social skills. So I'm probably not going to watch that movie when it gets released. I'll wait for a few weeks, and then I'll go watch it because I can't stand crowds. Like this weekend when I watched it, I counted there were 10 people in the theater. And that's, to me, is optimal. Well, I like to wait a few weeks and not watch it when it's crowded. So realistically, I probably won't see it till August. And that's okay. What I don't do is I don't go to the different places where they review the movie and give away secret plots, or when they have little Easter eggs and stuff. I don't watch any of that stuff until after the movie. And I don't watch the end scene. The after the movie's done, they have a end scene. So you're gonna watch this or part of another movie or something, continuation. I don't watch any. They leak those online. I don't like to watch because it spoils. Like I went into watching Thunderbolts. I knew that the Sentry was going to come too, and he went bad, but I didn't pay attention to anything else that happened because I wanted to enjoy the movie. And I'm going to just be honest with you, folks. I didn't know who the Sentry was. That was after I stopped reading comic books as a child. So, didn't know. But most of this stuff that they rehash in the MCU TV and movies, it's stuff that already happened in the comic books. None of it's new. They're not reinventing anything. So when my wife said that the original Avengers were better, yeah, they were better. But that's already been rehashed in the MCU or in the. Of course, they'll change the movie around a little bit to fit the logistics of the movie and change a little bit about the character, make it a little different than what it was in the comics. And that's good too. Anyway. It's 7:45. I have to be at work by 8 o'clock. I'm on the corner of Joe Orr Road and State. Tell me, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on the corner of Joe Orr and State, what is on that intersection? Leave a comment down below if you know or have a guess. Or look it up. So here we go. I hate when these buses stop at the intersection. I want to look too, see if there's a train coming. You know, the train intersection. I understand they got to stop and look and stop and look. Well, I don't want to get hit by a choo-choo train either. One thing that's weird out here where I work is they have the school buses waiting. Like right now, in about 30 seconds, I'm gonna pass up on a school bus that's blinking, but it doesn't have its stop sign out because they're waiting for the kid to get out to the school bus. Back in my day, okay, if you missed the school bus, you were shit out of luck. There was no wait for me kind of thing. You got to either call your mom or walk to school. So they're right in front of a house, and I see they do that in multiple locations. Time on target plus or minus 30 seconds, folks. That's what I was used to. And someone's going to honk at me because I stopped at a red light like I'm supposed to. Yeah, but I'm so glad it's raining today. Go and take a look at how the garden is doing. Worried about sweet potatoes, and maybe I worry too much because they did the same thing they did last year. Like when you put them in the soil, I think more grows underneath first, and then it comes up. We'll see. I haven't had any lima beans come up yet from the plantings. I've had a couple of little carrot leaves pop up, you know. Maybe lima beans are harder to grow than I think. I think I planted 400 of them throughout the garden. We'll see what we get. I don't know. I love the taste of lima beans, folks. Used to like to eat them out of the can. Thing is, a lima bean's very dry. It takes a while to cook. So, I think that's all we're going to talk about today. Everyone have a good day. Suburban Prepper. Doo-doo-doo.